Episode number 8. You are listening to the More Than a Lawyer podcast with your host, Janine Esbrand. I'm here to help lawyers and mums to thrive in their careers and motherhood. I share tips, strategies and inspirational conversation with awesome women to help you reduce the struggle in your juggle. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. In today's episode, I speak to ex-banker turned entrepreneur Marlene Abuah about her transition from being in a corporate job to working for herself. Now, if you've been thinking about switching careers after maternity leave and leaving the law, this interview will no doubt inspire you because we talk about what led her to make her career change and what it took to get started as an entrepreneur. We also have a great chat about a range of topics, including being true to yourself, motherhood, homeschooling, relationships, sex, and a whole lot more. So you do not want to miss this conversation.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to interview you today. You're a fabulous woman, and I can't wait for our guests to hear more about you. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Janine. Well, my name is Marlene Abuah, and I do loads of things. Well, my main thing that I'm known for is I'm a hairdresser, I'm a hairstylist, but I do wear many hats. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2. I also work with my husband in film and TV production, so I also act as well. And one of my most recent loves is I blog all about relationships and sex, healthy ideals on relationships and sex, just encouraging people to have positive, relationships and sexual ideals or ideals, sorry.
Ideals. Awesome. There's like so much that we can talk about. So our audience are generally women who are going through some kind of transition in their lives, whether it's transitioning into motherhood or going through a transition in their career or starting a business. So you've been doing so many different things. So tell us a bit about your kind of journey into working for yourself and being an entrepreneur that wears so many hats. How did that come about?
Well, it mainly came about from doing stuff that that wasn't me, basically. Being African, we all go to university. I didn't even know university was a choice. So if I did, I probably wouldn't have gone. But anyway, I went to university and studied psychology and thought, yeah, going to go into psychiatry. Tried it, hated it, and decided to get a job in a bank. And I thought, wow, I've made it. I'm working in New York on an internship, and felt fantastic. And after a while, it didn't take me long to realize that actually this isn't really me, and I was quite depressed actually. And before I left to go to America for the job, I was, I guess, bullied into, my hair's natural. I'm known for natural hair styling, Afro natural hair styling. And at the time my hair was natural, and one of a friend of my sister told me I'd better go and relax my hair so that I don't embarrass, us. Wow. And I mean she, and I'm sure when she said us, she probably meant black women, because in the industry I was in, there weren't many females, let alone black females. So she, felt it in her heart to encourage me or bully me to relaxing my hair. And I really felt out of place when I did it. I really didn't feel like myself. The fact I was in a job I didn't want to be in was even more depressing. After about a month, I was ready to come home, until I made that decision to just transition back to having natural hair again. And that transition actually was what changed my life, because I started meeting people because of my hair. People would stop me on the street and just comment on my hair. And this is before the whole natural hair explosion happened. So it was a big deal that I was walking around with Afro hair. And And that's when I guess my life changed, and I realized, you know what, I need to get back to my roots, literally, and go back into hairdressing. I didn't have that realization straight away, but I knew that something had to change. So came back to the UK, and I, was kind of in limbo for a bit, and decided I would go into acting. And that's actually how I met my husband. I met him. I auditioned for his play. I played his wife in the play, and then kind of transferred into real life, and we actually became his wife just under 2 years later. And he was the one that actually encouraged me that, you know what, you're great at this hair thing. Why are you still working for someone else? Why don't you make it an official business? Because I'd still that was still my side hustle, hairstyling and stuff. So he's like, do it for real, for real. And I was like, what does that mean? So I've been doing hair in my, my house, my mum's house for years. And I was like, what do you mean do it for real, for real? And so the first thing I did was go to my local hairdresser, which was down the road from my mum's house. This is before I got married. And I asked to rent a chair. And I was like, oh my God, I have no clients, no money, because of course I haven't had a job for so long. So I said, I need to rent a chair, not really knowing what was going to come of it. And it just went it wasn't easy by no means. It was not an easy transition, but it was the best decision of my life, because I took control. Control of your own life as a mother is so important, because you can, if I don't want to work today, I don't have to. If I want to just be with my boys and look after my boys, I can say, you know what, cut everything off and I'm staying home with my boys.
Yeah.
And that freedom for me is everything. It's life. I can't imagine myself being tied down to something where I'd have to put my work before my family.
I love the fact that you kind of took ownership and you stepped out in faith and said, you know what, this isn't working for me, this job, this industry, the fact that you felt like you needed to conform for a while and you just weren't happy. You went from there to a place of, you know what, I'm just going to step out. It might not work out, it's going to be hard, but the fact that I'll have that autonomy, that I can work for myself, and that's important to me, was kind of the fuel for you. And that's really important, I guess, for a lot of people. They stay stuck, or we stay stuck in a position because we can't see how life would be different. But from your story, it's encouragement for someone who's sitting there thinking, I hate my job, but I don't know what else to do. It's kind of take a step back and think about what are you actually good at. What are your skills, what are your values, and then try and leverage that instead of just carrying on the same path.
Hi ladies, I just wanted to take a quick break from my conversation with Marlene to tell you about something very exciting. On the 12th of October 2016, I will be running a free webinar called How to Have Post-Baby Career Success. Now, for a lot of people, it's a struggle to figure out how to continue being successful in their career after becoming a mum. So in this webinar, I will be talking about getting clear on your post-baby career goals, the practical things you can put in place to make your working mother experience run more smoothly, and how to really leverage your strengths so that you are working smarter and not harder. Now, you do not want to miss this webinar, so I encourage you to head over to www.lightboxcoaching.com/episode 8 to reserve your spot, and I hope to see you there. Now, back to my conversation with Marlene.
The other thing that you mentioned, which is really interesting, is the fact that you work alongside your husband sometimes on his business in film production and acting. So how does that work? Tell me a bit about that dynamic, like working alongside your husband.
Oh wow, it's an interesting one. You have days where you genuinely want to murder each other. Days where you you can't get enough of each other because you're so proud and happy about the things you've accomplished together. And I encourage every woman out there, married, in a relationship, like the best thing you can do for a relationship is work together, even if it's just to do a puzzle together. Doing something together, you may argue, you may fight, but that feeling of building something together, it's Wow, you can't buy that feeling. You can't, nothing can, you can't, yeah, you can't buy that feeling. It's amazing to create and know that you're making history together.
Yeah.
Makes sense, even if it's very, it might seem very little.
Yeah.
It's you're making something together other than babies. you're making you're making an impact. You have a purpose together other than just childbirth.
Yeah.
And
So I guess that adds a different dimension to the relationship because
yeah,
you generally come together to spend time leisurely,
yeah.
and then each person in the relationship will go out and work in their separate ways, but having to work together and actually work for the purpose of moving your projects forward must
Mm.
add a different dimension, I can imagine.
Yeah, it definitely does because we're building a future for our boys, and we're setting an example for them as well on what relationships, what healthy relationships and loving relationships should look like, and not just walking part. Because there's a time, I'm sure we can all these mothers and wives, we can all relate. There's a time where there's these seasons that you come across where you're just kind of going through the motions, go to
Mm-hmm.
work, come home. It just kind of gets a bit. It can get monotonous.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like working together, you're a bit more in each other's faces. You can't. How can I explain it? There are no you can't ignore each other.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't do the silent treatment for long.
Yeah.
If you're annoyed with each other, you still have to talk because you still have to get this project done and sorted. And usually, when you are working together, you don't stay mad for long. You just get on with it. And yeah, that's for me. That is a great dimension, um, and an added benefit to our relationship. Definitely.
Awesome. And so I guess a question I have for you is around challenges. So
Mm,
wearing so many hats, so having your own business and then working
yeah,
with your husband and being a mum and starting your blog and all the things that you've been doing.
yeah.
What would you say are some of the challenges that you faced?
Time management is the biggest one. Um, yeah, that's the only thing that really stands out. Actually, is time management. It's been tough because there's times when I just don't sleep because obviously I've still got to manage the house,
Yeah.
washing, the cleaning. I recently actually just got a cleaner because I was avoiding it for ages. But I was like, you know what? This is something that I need because I don't want to burn out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's amazing. She's changed my life, bless her. Um,
I'm totally with you on that. I did the same
yes,
thing, and I kind
yeah.
of felt like I can't justify having a cleaner. Like I don't live in a massive house, and I should be
Um,
able to keep on top of this. But then I was like, do you know what? With all the different things I'm trying to do, sometimes you have to just make a list and be like, okay, these are
yes,
all the things, but which things on this list are things that I have to do, and which
right.
things on this list can
And
I delegate
delegate.
out? And
Exactly.
cleaning is something that is not the most fun thing for me, and
No,
so I delegate
and
it
you like
out.
a and you like a clean house, right?
Yeah. So
Yes,
it is
twice a
absolutely,
month. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, exactly. It was, I totally relate to that. Weight lifted off your shoulders, just like, yes, my house will be clean, but
Exactly.
I don't have to spend the time doing it. And I could spend the time doing something that is more, um, a better use of my time, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and because it was ruining my relationships. Really, like let me get deep about it. It really was because I hate being in a messy, like dirty environment. Not no mess with kids.
Yeah.
Mess happens, but when it's dirty, you're like, oh my god, I just need to clean. And with all the stuff I'm doing, I couldn't find the time to do it, and it was just
Yeah.
messing up my relationship with my husband and my kids. I was just angry. I was like, no, 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 this is wrong. I need to work smart, not
Yes.
work hard.
Yes, I love that. Work smarter, not
Yeah.
harder, and
Right.
look at your situation from different angles and say, okay, how can we tackle this? How can all of these things get done? So, and
Exactly.
I think the delegation aspect can apply in other areas as well. Sometimes we try and hold on to to the strings of everything as a woman.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's things that other people can help you with, like, you know, family members wanting to look after your kids for you for a while, or your
Right.
husband wanting to be more involved in certain areas. So as women, as mums, as ambitious ladies, it's really important for us to take a step back and realize we don't have to try and be super women all the time.
Exactly, and yeah, I couldn't have said it better. In the same way, I've also outsourced some of my work, my hair stuff, because I do want to focus more on my family because I really want to. I homeschool my kids as well, so and I really want that to continue. I don't want to ever get tired of that because I love spending time with my children and seeing them develop. So I had to make a choice. You know, that extra, however much money, isn't gonna stop me from, you know, seeing my son, you know, reading and enjoying reading, or playing. He loves to play the drums and things like that. So I've actually outsourced some of my work and hired people to do stuff that I can't
You're
do.
getting a
So
team, yes.
exactly. So I've got a team and it's growing and it's nice because again, it's working smarter and not harder.
Yeah,
Just keeping sane and knowing that, you can't do it all.
yeah,
You can't do it. You can have it all, but you can't do it all.
yeah.
That's my motto. You can't do it all. You need help, people, support system.
So how is homeschooling going? How are you finding that? I know your son's still quite young.
Yeah.
Are you kind of just seeing what he's into, and then building off of that, or are you kind of being a bit more structured? How's that going for you?
So neither of them are of school age. I guess school age is like 4. But I believe that learning happens every day in everything you do. Literally, they're born and you have to tell them, right, this is a chair, this is a wall,
Yeah.
these are stairs, and it's just actively, consciously thinking about everything I'm doing and including him in both of them. The second one's only 5 months. However, he's very quick. He's already catching on to everything. So every time we go shopping, I get him to name everything I'm picking up, or when I'm cooking, he sat with me. My eldest one sat with me cooking, or also, like you said, seeing what he's into. He loves music,
Yeah.
so he's. I don't even know to teach him that because he's drumming. I don't even know how to drum, but he knows how to drum. He's taught himself. He sits there, watches drum solos from morning till night. But one thing I noticed from very early on is that he likes languages. So he's actually learning 4 as we speak. As a nearly 3-year-old, he understands a lot and he
Yeah.
picks up languages really quickly. So I take him abroad when I'm working abroad. They come with me, and that's what is beautiful about being an entrepreneur, a mumpreneur. I can't even say, is it mumpreneur?
Mumpreneur.
I say
Yeah.
mumpreneur, mumpreneur.
That
Like,
could be a
it's
new
beautiful.
term, Marlene. We can
Mump,
start using that. It might catch
yeah,
on.
mumpreneur. It's true. It's beautiful because you can set the terms. You can say, you know what, I'm a mum, and these terms need to be met. Otherwise, I can't. You can't. We can't work together. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And that traveling is also learning. It's for them. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that's gold right there. The fact that, you know, you've decided what's the most important thing, and
Mm,
then you're building your life around that. So having your children at home with you all the time is really important to you, and so
yes,
everything else then comes after that.
exactly.
And so yeah, absolutely, such a good approach to have, because then you feel more fulfilled because you're
Mhm.
doing the things that are important first, and then everything else, even though the other things are important, but you know, you get your priorities in the right order first,
Exactly.
and then
Even
add.
if, sorry to cut you off, because this stage doesn't last very long. I just can't believe he's nearly the first. My first son is nearly 3. I'm like, my goodness, that I feel like I gave birth to him yesterday, and
Yeah.
it's crazy how quickly it flies. So even if it means you have to tighten up your belt in certain areas, you may have to cut your fun budget, or mum budget, as I like to call it, down so that you can spend less time working and more time with your kid, do it, because they will thank you um, in the future
Yeah.
for that extra time spent, for sure. My mom did the same. She didn't work. Well, at least we all stayed home. She stayed at home with all of us, and there are four of us. She stayed at home with all of us at least till each of us were three.
Wow.
And that's priceless.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what tips then would you give to a woman who is transitioning into motherhood and she's thinking about going back to work and then thinking maybe I want to stay at home? Like, are
Mm.
there any like pearls of wisdom that you would give her in terms of how she should approach it? Things she might want to think about. Yeah, would you anything you'd want to share on that?
Definitely don't forget that you were you before you had your child. Though motherhood is the most exciting thing that's happened to me, apart from obviously being married. Secondly comes motherhood. I had to dig deep and remember who I was before the titles wife and mummy. I had to remember who Marlene was, and who Marlene was a creative being that just loves to create, constantly thinking about new ways to be creative. And from there, from there you can build, like you said, build your um, career around the most important people in your life, and not be your career, not build, not how can I say this, and not so you're building your career around them, not forgetting yourself,
Yeah.
and instead of just having a career and neglecting the most important people in your life.
Yeah.
Um, because it is a tough job being a mummy. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Um,
But the most
being a mum.
rewarding at the same time, right?
Yes,
Yeah. That's
it's hands down the most rewarding thing. I'm probably running on about 2 hours sleep, but it's
I
it's
know.
it's like you get on with it, shattered, but you just know that wow, this is, you're growing a child, you're growing a family. It's
And
the
that's,
most important thing
I
ever.
always say that's why they're so cute, because
Yeah,
you can be so tired and then they just flash a smile and you're just like, oh,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Like, I
My,
can
my,
deal.
my, my second one, he just woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. It was like, right, it's time to party, mummy. And he was dancing in his crib.
You're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Oh, I've
Yeah.
had so many of those episodes with my son. I'm just like, why are we jumping up and down now?
Yes.
Why are we practicing standing? It's 4
Yeah,
a.m. This is not the time.
exactly. Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, they're having a rave, full on rave, and you're looking at them through tired. I just had to laugh. He'd been fed everything, burped, he was happy, he just wanted to party. And I slept and woke up and he was still staring at me. So I have no idea. I don't even know if he fell asleep and what. He was just, yeah. But you gotta love them. So my advice is don't forget who you are or were before baby, because that will make you an even better mum,
Yeah,
because you'll be happier. Don't fight to get back to work, to a job that you're not passionate about,
yeah,
because you will be a nightmare to everyone around you, including your kids. Think about ways that you can cut out. You can streamline your finances, even
yeah.
if you have to, until you find something that you're passionate about, that you can really sink your teeth into, that you don't mind waking up at. Some mornings I wake up. From when I'm doing my vlogs, I wake up at. I'll sleep when they sleep around 8, 9, and I wake up at 2 in the morning when I know they're sleeping
And
to
do your
vlog.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, really, am I going to do this? I'm like, okay, yeah, I better get up and do it, because I know that if I don't do it now, I won't get a chance to do it when
Later
they're
on in the
awake,
day.
and then I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be inconsistent, and that's what passion does. It motivates you to do stuff when you don't really feel like doing it, and
Yeah,
when you've done it, you're like, oh my goodness, you feel so fulfilled.
yeah,
Um, so do something that's worth your time, worth being tired for.
yeah. That's amazing advice. I love it. Love it, love
Yeah,
it, love it. Um,
yeah.
So tell me, I know, like we said at the beginning, you wear so many hats and you're always
Yeah.
working on a new project. And one of the things that you've done, which I'm really proud about on your
Aw.
behalf, is you being on BBC Hair,
Oh my goodness,
and making it
yay.
all the way to the final. That was awesome. And I know you're like, you always got something new in the bag. Every time I speak to you, there's something new. So tell me, what's new? What's going on with you?
Oh wow, BBC Hair was amazing. It feels like it was ages ago. Such a fantastic experience. So, what's new with me? I've like I said, I've kind of outsourced some of my hair, most of my hair work to some great stylists that I work with. So I'm doing mainly weddings now and events and consulting for um, brands that want to get into the natural hair market. Which is amazing. I'm loving it because
Awesome.
it means that even if I work 1 day a week, I'm good. I can live on that. I can say no to miscellaneous jobs. So that's fun. That's a major thing. About to start another project with our film company, which is it's called AEA Films. We're about to go to Africa and shoot West Africa to shoot a travel documentary. It's a travel and stroke history documentary because my husband's very into African history and
Mm-hmm.
politics. And I've started my vlogging, which is really fun for me, really exciting. It's I love talking about relationships, especially marriage and sex. Before and after marriage, it's not talked about
At all,
at
hardly.
all. I think that in our Black community and namely Christian community, we don't. It's not a normal conversation. It's taboo. The word sex is said with a cringing, you know, squint when it's said around some of the people that I'm around. It needs to be a conversation that is open, that is not taboo, basically, and it's something that I talk about with my kids from birth. I talk to them about their genitals and tell them this is what this is, and I encourage them to know who they are.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm so passionate about it because in this social media apocalypse that we're in, there are so many distracting, damaging pieces of information that are
Yeah.
just freely available for young on YouTube, on Facebook, on whatever social media that's they can get their hands on these days is so available, and so important to keep that conversation conscious in your
And
household,
open.
consciously and open,
Yeah.
and not taboo, and obviously showing them a good example of what a healthy emotional relationships should look like.
Yeah.
So there, that's
Awesome. So what is the name of your channel? Where can people find you if they
yes.
want to learn more? I
Uh,
will put a link to it in the show notes, but if you just tell us, that's good.
Okay, so it's Marlene Abuah Relationships and Sex. It's the acronym is Mars Talks
Ah,
for
like it.
Facebook. Thank you. So it's M.A.R.S Talks on Facebook, and you can find me as Marlene Abuah Relationships and Sex on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and on all other social sites, it's at Marlene Abuah.
Okay. Awesome. So
Yeah.
it has been so good catching up with you today and you just sharing your pearls of wisdom and letting our audience know, how you do things and how you manage life as a mum and an entrepreneur and a mumpreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Mumpreneur. So thank you so much for being on. And
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to chatting with you again soon because you know how we like to have our catch ups.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
I just loved catching up with Marlene. She leads such an interesting life, and her journey today is definitely inspiring. I liked what she shared about her passion for the work that she does. Finding or creating a role that you are excited about is so important. Being a working mother is not easy, but having the right role can really reduce the mummy guilt and help you to feel that the time away from your little ones is time well spent. So, Once again, I just want to remind you to go ahead and sign up for the free webinar that's taking place on the 12th of October 2016. That's called How to Have Post-Baby Career Success. It's going to be awesome. So head over to www.lightboxcoaching.com/episode 8 to sign up. And as always, I would love to know what you found most useful from today's conversation. So head over to the More Than a Lawyer Facebook group, and you can find that at lightboxcoaching.com/community, and let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you and connect with you there. So this brings me to the end of today's show, and it's been an awesome episode, and I really look forward to speaking to you again in the next one. The More Than a Lawyer podcast features music from Sound.